Welcome back to the second part of our study of Priapus. I have to get this recorded because I just want to get it off my desk and forget about it, whether it's ready or not. But I just want to issue a warning here. Some of this material might be offensive to some. It's going to get a little graphic, and parental discretion is advised. So we're going to start out with the treatment of Priapus and Lotus in Ovid's Metamorphosis. Ovid mentions Priapus and Lotus in the Metamorphosis. Lotus is a nymph who got drunk and passed out at the Liberalia festival. Priapus tried to rape her when everyone was asleep, but Silenus's donkey brayed, causing him to lose his erection and alerting everyone, including Lotus, to his shenanigans. He either runs away or she is changed into a lotus tree. Here's Priapus trying to rape Lotus. This is a painting called The Feast of the Gods by Giovanni Bellini. And here's Silenus and his donkey. Let's get a detail here. Here's Priapus sneaking up on Lotus, trying to rape her. Here he is with his pole tent, with his malintent. And here's Silenus and his donkey. He's a very interesting character. I think we'll have a look at him next. Here's Lotus being changed into the tree. Talk about rape culture. There's an old woodcut of the story. And this is the blue lotus butterfly. In Ovid's Fasti, the intended rape victim was the goddess Vesta, from the Vestal Virgins fame. This is a painting called Hymenaios disguised as a woman during an offering to Priapus by Nicolas Poussin. And here's detail. 2 fingers on the generative principle. Priapus. Hymen is the god of marriage ceremonies, inspiring feast and song. As a son of Dionysus and Aphrodite, he was an Erote, one of the Erotes, which makes him sibling to Hermaphroditus, Eros, and Priapus. This god is an extremely androgynous god. Looks like a woman to me. Here's another portrayal of Hymen by Edward Burne-Jones. Extremely effeminate. Hymen is also the membrane that surrounds the external vaginal opening, or the virgin's cherry. This is a book by Richard Payne Knight, A Discourse on the Worship of Priapus. And Richard Payne Knight is a classical scholar, connoisseur, archaeologist, best known for his interest in ancient phallic imagery. And he was a member of the Society of Dilettanti, widely considered to be an arbiter of taste. So, the Society of Dilettanti are a very interesting group. They were established in 1732 as a dining club made up by a group of men who had been on the grand tour of Europe, led by Sir Francis Dashwood of the Hellfire Club fame. They are closely associated with Brooks's, one of London's most exclusive gentlemen's club. The society quickly became wealthy through a system on which members made contributions to various funds to support building schemes and archaeological expeditions. It was a prime mover in the establishment of the Royal Academy. Its member Richard Chandler was sponsored to go and discover the ancient archaeological site of Olympia, home of the first Olympic Games. So I believe this society is very instrumental in creating what we know to be ancient history of Greece and Rome. Instrumental in the fabrication of that history. Society of Noblemen and Scholars, which sponsors the study of ancient Greek and Roman art and the creation of new works in the style. So this is his Richard Payne Knight's first book, The Worship of Priapus, and he sought to recover the importance of ancient phallic cults. His penchant for ancient sacred eroticism brought accusations of being an apologist for libertinism. There's that god Liber again. The central claim of the book, an international religious impulse to worship the generative principle, was articulated through the genital imagery, and that this imagery has persisted into the modern age. He argued that pagan ideas persisted in the Christian culture. Here's a bunch of fascinus, more winged fascinus that we saw from the last video, tintinnabulum here. Here's a little description you can read on your own about the book. More imagery of Priapus. Now we come to the Priapeia, which is a collection of 95 poems devoted to Priapus. They were humorously obscene. They were said to be compiled from literary works and of Latin literature. Authorities regard the verses to have been written by a group of poets who met at Maecenas' house, who was a patron of Horace, amusing themselves by writing tongue-in-cheek tributes to the god Priapus. I believe it was more likely written by a group like the Society of Dilettanti. Some illustrations from the Priapeia. The statues of Priapus were hung with signs bearing epigrams which graphically threatened such sexual assault towards transgressors of the garden or anyone who would steal the fruits of the garden. An epigram is a short satirical poem, often witty. The Roman epigrams were more obscene than the Greeks. Another illustration from the Priapeia. Here's a couple examples of the epigrams. Whosoever steals a rosebud or absconds with herb or apple, hateful to both boys and women, let him burst from such stiffness. I warn you, boy, you will be screwed. Girl, you will be laid with. A third penalty awaits the bearded thief. If a woman steals from me, or a man or a boy, let the first give me her cunt, the second his head, the third his buttocks. My dick will go through the middle of boys and middle of girls with but with bearded men it will aim only for the top. There's a couple more examples you can read on your own. These are some of the topics covered in the Priapus, and we'll have a look at a few of them. It's been quite an education. The first one we'll look at is bestiality. This is Pasiphae, who is the goddess of bestiality. She was the witch queen of Crete, the daughter of Helios, the Titan sun god, and the eldest Oceanid, Perse. The Oceanids were the 3,000 daughters of the Titans Oceanus and Tethys. And that makes her a sister to Circe, the goddess of sorcery and witchcraft, whom we saw in the last video. Pasiphae was the wife of King Minos of Crete. After ascending the throne over his brothers, he prayed to Poseidon for a sign of his support. Poseidon sent a beautiful white bull to be sacrificed as a symbol of respect for the Olympians. Minos sacrificed a regular bull instead. Poseidon sought revenge by having Aphrodite curse Pasiphae with lust for the bull. So Pasiphae had Daedalus, the court artificer and father of Icarus, make her a wooden cow with cowhide covering for her to hide in to receive the amorous bull. This is a painting, Daedalus and Pasiphae, by Giulio Romano, 1530. And this is the artificial cow that Pasiphae is going to disguise herself in. Another picture of Daedalus creating the artificial cow. Many, many artworks of this myth of bestiality. This is a surrealist painting by André Masson of Pasiphae and the bull. This is a sculpture on a beach in Barcelona by Oscar Estruga. Pasiphae within the cow. The union of the white bull and Pasiphae resulted in the birth of the Minotaur, part man, part bull. Later, Daedalus was asked to build the labyrinth to contain the Minotaur. This is another subject covered in the Priapus. It's a new word for me, irumatio. And you can read yourself about the fine distinction between irumatio and fellatio. Basically, it's a form of oral rape of a man. Another subject covered was infibulation. This is male infibulation as opposed to the female infibulation, where the labia are sewn together. Still practiced today in many Muslim countries, African countries. But the male infibulation is the placing of a clasp through the male foreskin in ancient Greece. Male athletes, singers, public performers used a clasp to close the foreskin and draw the penis over to one side in a practice known as kynodesme, literally meaning dog tie. In Rome, a fibula or ring was used. It was a sign of restraint, abstinence, and modesty. I first came across this practice when I was looking at the ancient Olympic athletes who were supposed to practice this kynodesme. The Priapus was later translated into English by Leonard C. Smithers and Sir Richard Burton. Sir Richard Burton is a very interesting character. Nickname Ruffian Dick. He was a British explorer, geographer, translator, soldier, writer, Orientalist, cartographer, spy, linguist, poet, fencer, and diplomat. He was famed for his travels and his extraordinary knowledge of languages and cultures. He was said to have spoken 29 different languages. Many, many photographs of this character. I don't know if he was a real character or not. This is his wife. Looks very much like a tranny to me. He also translated 1001 Arabian Nights and the Kama Sutra and the Arabic sex manual, The Perfumed Garden. He was knighted in 1886. This is the tomb or the mausoleum of Richard Burton and his wife. Looks like a Bedouin tent. And this is the moth Bactra Priapus. This is another book about the Garden of Priapus. This is another feminist treatment of Priapus, an in-depth study of Roman sexual satire and a commentary on the effects of all humor on society and its victims. Another Herm of Priapus. These are some final images of Priapus in his fertility god portrayal. The fruits above the scepter of Priapus. The garden gnome was said to be a leftover of this garden Priapus. Got your Phrygian cap. There is a church in Montreal dedicated to Priapus, the St. Priapus Church, founded in the 80s by D.F. Cassidy. The following is mainly homosexual men in Canada and the United States. Semen is also treated with reverence and its consumption in an act of worship. Semen is esteemed as sacred because of its divine life-giving power. This is D.F. Cassidy, whose true sexuality seems to be in question. There is also a Priapus shot that you can get for erectile dysfunction. The P shot involves harvesting your own plasma-enriched growth factors in your blood, injecting them into the specific areas of the penis. The process involves drawing a small amount of blood from the arm, transferring it to a centrifuge where it spins for about 10 minutes to separate the platelet-rich plasma and the poor plasma. And it's re-injected into the penis, which ostensibly stimulates the blood flow and makes the penis appear larger and rejuvenated. There's also an O shot for women. This is the Priapus butterfly. So that is it for Priapus. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching.